So I'm asking people to keep to time at occasions, no African man time.
Yes, if we want to be more comfortable, if we want to be wealthy, if we want to realize our potentials, we must learn to show some discipline, particularly with time.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So let's begin immediately with the Nation newspaper. The headlines on The Nation. We will take the details much later, but let's get on the headlines. Buhari to APC. Intra-party rift is an invitation to PDP victory. A delayed convention is risky, the president says, and there will be no cover for corrupt politicians in the APC. As the president has been speaking for a while, or his interview rather has been a focus of discussion for a while. And one of the things he said is that he is sure that he has been keeping his books rightly, and as such, he would not be faced by he would not be bothered about anyone trying to probe him. His books are clean, and so he's asking the APC members to also do so. But then the convention of the party comes up in February, and there are cracks within the party, and the president allays he expresses these fears. Different papers have different headlines for that story. One of them is the Daily Independent. What it says on the Daily Independent is that the opposition can take over in 2023. Buhari warns the APC as he asks the party to put the house in order. The president also says that old age is telling on him. Other stories that we have here is the fact that he says that corrupt persons will not go scot-free. The president has been fighting on the flank of, 3-point agenda: fighting corruption, strengthening the economy, and also tackling insecurity. Other stories that carry similar headlines are: Buhari warns the APC of the consequences of disunity. It says corrupt defectors will not be spared. If you recall, there was a time when everyone who was in, or most people in the opposition, were scared of what will happen to them. Governors, former officials in the Goodluck Jonathan era were seen to be jumping ship. Well, the elections are just around next year, and primaries, of course, this year. The president is giving out this warning to his party. What are your thoughts about the APC and the fears expressed by the president as regards the different groups that are jostling for the position of president? Of course, you remember also the president in his interview said that he would not reveal his favorite successor. Your thoughts, please.
Okay, first and foremost, in our local communities, we say one man not if you carry elephant meat, which means if you're a hunter and you hunt down an elephant, you will need everyone else to help you with bringing the meat home. I think that is what he's underscoring, that APC will not win if they are not together. So they need to really work together. They need to be together. They need to have their conventions early, and in case there are cracks, they need to mend those cracks before the D-Day. I think that's what he's warning. And I feel that the APC people should take that seriously. Buhari has something that is not so common. He used to be a military general, so at least even though he's old, he understands the art of war to some extent. So you cannot go and fight a formidable enemy like PDP, for example, speaking with many voices. I think that's what is underscoring. So if they want to win, I think they should just heed his advice and then work together as a group. But if they bring their personal interests so much and then remain disunited, they are gone.
Well, the fact that he says those who are corrupt will not be spared if they intend to jump ship to the APC. If you recall, the former APC national chairman, Adams Oshomole, had said once that if you join APC, your sins are forgiven.
Yes.
Do we see the president speaking differently with all seriousness this time, considering the fact that he's almost gone out of power, and we seem to shift loyalty so easily in this part of the world? Do you think those who are corrupt will not find a way to cover their books?
Well, in reality, if you're corrupt, you're corrupt. You're supposed to face the music. There's not supposed to be any party or anywhere you jump ship to or you jump to, and then your sins are forgiven. You're supposed to be prosecuted. So it is a complete joke for anybody who has stolen public funds to feel that his sins will be forgiven because he has moved from one place to another. Somehow, no regime stays forever. If you come twice, you stay 8 years. And after that, so long as you have eaten public funds, you can still be prosecuted. So it is a complete, how do I say it, reversal of normal thinking for anyone to think that you can steal some billions of public funds and then just go to one party, and then your sins are forgiven. It cannot be. So I believe that, particularly with the young Nigerians coming up, they should insist on making sure that justice is secured for everyone at every level.
That now brings us to that area of the ideology behind each political party. The fact that politicians will jump ship, and then we can't really differentiate what the APC actually wants, what the PDP wants, what are the things that they hold as the right principles. Do we see politicians without any ideology, just jumping ship to wherever favors them?
Well, in Nigeria, the ideologies are not very clear and very specific for the parties, unfortunately. That is what it ought to be, but it doesn't seem so. So there is some kind of, like a spectrum, there's some blending, integration, so to speak, of ideologies between the major parties. They look the same. Most times you see a difference because of the individual, not because of the party. Okay. If John comes in charge of a particular area, you see John's attitude dominating, not necessarily the party's ideology. Unfortunately, that's where we still are. I'm hoping that as the years go by, we'll get clear in terms of which ideologies we hold, in terms of the parties, fine-tune them, make them clear enough, and follow them, not making it a burden of one man or two persons when they're in charge.
The Daily Sun has 2023. Military warns governors and politicians. They frown at the use of uniforms and equipment. We've seen some politicians wear combat camouflage trousers or camo t-shirts or military caps, and even the boys that they carry around are seen in these attire. Well, some would also argue that it is a thing of pride in the United States and some other places when people wear the camo, whether they are entertainers or not, and the people they seem to be proud of their colors. But we have the tradition of military men beating up Nigerians who wear these uniforms. But then, is it because of the criminal attitude of some who would use that for the wrong purposes, or should it be possible for the military to help for the Nigerians to love our military and the military to accept that they are loved and people want to identify with dressing like them?
Yes, you are fusing two things here. If you ask me, and I believe I've said it in this studio before, that it's a thing of pride for example, the American military, to see young women wear their uniform, to see people wear their uniform. You are identifying with them. They will feel maybe a little unhappy if Chelsea Football Club, for example, gets more popular in America than the American military. Okay, but that's in the American environment. Here too, that is what it ought to be. But unfortunately, we've not matured to that point where people will just wear military uniform and then feel cool about it. Here, even the way you said it, it is clear the intent for wearing that uniform. It is not because you want to identify with the military, but it's because you want to be like military and beat up your opponent and injure your opponent and commit crime. And of course, when you commit a crime, it will be like it is the military that committed the crime. And that is what has been going on. So to that extent, the military is right to warn that do not carry our uniform to your rallies and beat up your political opponents. Do not use our uniform to go and commit crime. That is not what it is meant for. So, like I said, you need to actually separate who is wearing the uniform. I believe that if the military sees school children wear military camouflage and then they are doing well, they will be happy with it. But not crookish or crooked politicians wearing uniform and going beyond wearing uniform, not just giving them uniform. You give them uniform, you give them guns, and you give them a lot of instruments to commit crime. I think that is the right type of warning for everyone. Stay for your lane, make I do for my lane.
The Nigerian Tribune has Autumn to Buhari declare Mieti Allah as terrorist organization as its lead story. The presidency has declared that bandits are terrorists, and this time around, the governor of Benue State has been in the news for following the activities of the headsmen in his states, the clashes they normally have with the farmers. But this time around, one organization he mentions specifically, and he also says that the president, in his interview, rejecting the state police was a wrong decision. He says you are working against interests and the will of Nigerians. The Middle Belt Forum also telling the president that they say the excuse for opposing the state police holds no water. That's from the Yorubas, Debanjo. Nigerians will reject Buhari's preferred candidate, says the PDP. Those stories are up there. But then the farmers' headers clashes. The president was asked that question also. And I remember Malpe making reference to the weather and the fact that, well, it's a seasonal thing. Next year we might see them when the grass is no longer able to sustain the cattle up north, that they would likely move down south. Now, some would say it's when it would happen. Some would say it would be because of the elections that they are trying to demarcate a government. But do you see an attitude that might continue with the times? Should the grasses go dry there, whether it's rainy season or dry, so should they move next year? Do you also see any political talk with the fears of the governor of Benue State, or is he really crying the true cry?
Well, first, when it comes to state police, I also feel that we should have state police. We'll be more secured with state police. Having a centralized police as we have is not giving us the security we desire, obviously. For our language, we talk, say, okay, it's about like the rat and knowing the holes, in your home. So when you bring police from so far away, who does not quite understand your culture, who does not also give a damn about your feelings and your culture, you have a couple of challenges. But if you are made to man your own home, you make it a duty to ensure that you protect your valuables. So for state police, that is the way I feel as well.
Well, don't you see them being controlled by governors?
They ought to be controlled by governors.
Now, should that happen with the kind of system we have, don't you see a governor who from a political party using it against his opponent from another party?
There is no problem with that. The federal government is already controlling the police, isn't it? At the federal level. When Goodluck was there, he controlled the police. Buhari is there, he controls the police. So if we have state police, the governors will definitely control the police.
We're looking at giving more powers to the governor then.
They ought to have more powers. The fact is that you are not secured. So long as you are not secured, so long as the citizens of a particular state are not secured, it is incumbent on the governor, who is the chief executive, so to speak, of the state, to ensure that he secures the people. So if he's going to use snakes, for example, to secure the people, he should use the snakes to secure the people. Right now, you can't blame a governor for not securing you, because it doesn't quite control the apparatus of security.
When we talk about this, people ask that question, so what do they do with the security votes that governors appropriate to themselves?
Well, I don't know. Are the security votes in the public glare? Do you know how much is security votes for Bayelsa State? Okay, so sometimes, maybe it is just 1 million. I don't know. It is not in public. Okay, so when you begin to discuss it, you'll be making a lot of insinuations that are not quite founded, okay? But the truth is, when you have the police, the Nigerian police, for example, you are supposed to fund them. The fact that a few weeks ago, Bayelsa State government had to buy several vehicles for the police already says that the federal police is failing. Because you born pikin, you know if you take care of your pikin. Okay, every time now another person, your neighbor, they feed them. And you still say, no, make the neighbor no get pikin, make the neighbor no get pikin. What kind of person are you? Allow the neighbor to have his own pikin so that he will feed the pikin the way he is feeding your own pikin now. So it is as clear as that with respect to security.
But do you think do you think the governors can finance that? Because it's already difficult for the federal government.
They're already doing it.
They're doing
Even one state recently, states have been buying vehicles, states have been buying weapons, states have been buying everything for the Nigerian police.
Add that to paying of salaries. It's been difficult for governors to pay salaries of regular civil servants. If you add the police to the wage bill of the state.
I am an Ijaw man, okay, and in Ijaw we say, Daddy a flaw in betting come. You know what it means? Do not say this soup that you've not tasted is sour. Okay, taste it first, then you will know whether it is sour or not. We cannot be doing willy-willy now. We can't be running forward and backwards. We want security. Someone is chief security officer. Give him everything that has to do with securing you. That's the way it ought to be. You cannot be somewhere remote controlling the security of my state. I want to do something, you remove the commissioner of police. I want to do something, you remove DPO. That is what has been going on. And then Nigerians should know that that kind of thing will not work. Okay? So they should first call a spade a spade. Let's have state police. Now, I am not blaming, for example, Mr. President for sounding the way he does. You said here that he has admitted that age is telling on him. So he's old. Okay, so he's an old man. And if you look at his age, going to about 80, okay, that's about 30 years is one generation. So about 3 generations with some of the young people today. That's a difference. He cannot think like us. He can't even think like those who are much younger than some of us. But we have him as president. So he's going to think according to his age and his exposure and his experience, unfortunately. So while you may want things in a particular way, he will want things in his own particular way, and he is Mr. President. And he did not come there by himself. Okay? Now, we, Nigeria, put him there. So he is acting true to his own mandate that he has been given. Now, the better thing is that this is 2022. Is the year of primaries for all the political parties, okay, to present candidates that will become governors and presidents next year. So we have another choice, another opportunity. And we should also note that in Nigeria, the Constitution also allows for citizens to withdraw their representatives. So if you have a governor you do not like, citizens' action can go on and have him impeached.
You know, there's always that problem of financing that impeachment.
Wait first.
Getting people to agree and pay.
Yes. No, but it is there. It is there. So what I'm saying is that there are constitutional provisions that allow you do remediation if you've made a mistake. Now, but here we have more like final year of Buhari. So we have another opportunity. That's what I'm emphasizing. So if you go and bring, Methuselah, for example, or you go and bring blind Bartimaeus, for example, you have to live with the vagaries, with the attitude of that comes with such choices. You cannot choose mango and expect to get the taste of orange. You must be crazy. And I think that is seeming to be what Nigerians are doing. You choose mango, you want to get the flavor of citrus orange. Which kind of thing be that? Make a choice and stick to it. If you think you've made a mistake, then go take the constitutional ways to remedy it. If not, you have another opportunity today.
Well, it's been 10 years after the Occupy Nigeria protest.
Did you say 10 years?
It's 10 years.
Okay.
It's 10 years already. The fact that time they shut down Ojota, okay, and they had a protest over former President Goodluck Jonathan's regime. Yeah. Pundits and economists alike are waiting to see on which side the argument to remove subsidy will go this time, because the president had hinted earlier on last year that there's a possibility that the prices of crude will go up. But there's also another story that has been making the rounds since we talked about a replacement. We take them one after the other, beginning with the subsidy. The federal government plans subsidy for transport workers. They said they will give 5,000 to some poor Nigerians who cannot afford to pay for the high cost of petrol going forward. They also, the Nigerian Labour Congress is angry on that kind of palliatives. They say they cannot accept that. Instead, the expensive lifestyle of government is what is the challenge that we have. So, do we see a protest coming like what happened during former President Goodluck Jonathan's time? And if it does occur, do you see this government, obeying, or better say, following the choice of those who would protest?
I do not quite see.
I
do not quite see any major protests coming up. I do not quite see.
Okay.
I'll be pleasantly surprised if that happens. The 2012 protests was a protest against President Goodluck. It was because of the face of President Goodluck. It was because of what he represents. It was because of where he comes from. That is why we had that type of protest. And we had everybody who was part of that protest as part of this government today, more or less. All of them. The ones who are crying wolf are the ones that do not seem to have gotten all the bonanza they were expecting from a Buhari presidency. That's why they're making all the noise. So I don't quite see that happen. The opposition at the time of Goodluck was vitriolic, was poisonous. They were not ready to see anything. Okay, no matter what it was, if it is good, they don't want to see it as good. And so they went all out to fight it in the way and manner they did. Today, they have come round full circle, so to speak, and they are that spot. They will say them, you know. They themselves are there now. How they will handle it, I am watching out.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, there's also, on the front pages of most of the papers, that picture of Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, and the President Muhammadu Buhari. Speculations have been on about the fact that 2023, we might see Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, run for president again. This time, speculations about a change of party. Now, the president, or former president, has not replied to this. But what are your thoughts on Jonathan contesting for 2023? Do you think that will be a wise decision?
Let me be like Mr. President for once. Let me also not disclose my intentions or my thinking at the stage so that they do not eliminate my choice.
I take it then that Goodluck is your choice should he decide to run. Because power.
No, I didn't say Goodluck is my choice. I said that let me also reserve the right, just like Mr. President, to keep my choice close to my chest, lest he gets eliminated.
Well, is that not something that people should question? The fact that the president fears the elimination of one when that one can be protected if he so desires. He has the yam, he has the knife.
Well, I told you, no. He is trying to sound democratic and act democratic. And that is why.
So not necessarily the choice of being eliminated being the fear then?
No. He feels that if he brings out his choice at this stage, people will conspire and ensure that does not happen.
Not necessarily death.
No, not death. I don't think he mentioned death at all. No, why should it be?
No, the word eliminated.
Eliminate is to remove, ensure that the person does not win.
Not necessarily
it cannot
kill.
be death at all.
Okay.
In fact, if it were death, it would be an indictment, because if you are the chief security officer of the country, and then because you now say Lishman is going to be is my choice, then people will go and kill him. I mean, that is not it at all. It is about the system, politics, people ganging up against that type of candidate, and he doesn't want that. He wants the candidate to seem to win by merit, and he has the right as a citizen to have a preferred candidate as well in his party and of course for the country.
Well, the mathematics in some quarters, those who've been calculating say that the APC would most likely give power to the South following Buhari's northern 8 years rule. The PDP last candidate was from the North, and its last president was from the South. It is said that the figures of those who vote most times favor the North, and the PDP, some have said that may likely pick their candidate from the North so that they can get back to power and continue with their own rotation agreements if it's North, since the last president was from the South. Now, the governors of the South had held a meeting and said that they want a Southern president for 2023. Others have said that there are still indications, because the PDP did not state that when it had its last convention, that power would go to the South, that it's still possible that their candidate might go to the North, especially with statements from one of the biggest financiers of the party, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, who recently seemed to have spoken in good light about Governor Bala Mohammed. At other times, the name Atiku Abubakar had been put up. At even other times, it's been Tambowal's name that has come up with a possible Wike for deputy. But then, where do you think the next president should come from, irrespective of you being a Bayelsan?
Well, I think that the next president should come from Nigeria. And that is what Nigerians owe Nigeria.
Not necessarily from any parts of the country.
I think that the next president should be a Nigerian. And I do not carry any cards in any of the political parties, given my own type of position. But I am looking at it dispassionately as a citizen who has a right also to look at things. And so, at the end of the day, if all the political parties decide to bring their candidates from Bayelsa State, then of course we'll have a Bayelsan as president. If they all decide to bring their candidates from a particular region, then invariably you have a president from that region. But I do not want to bother myself about their permutations, you know.
For the next election.
Yes, that is their own cup of coffee as partisan people. When they present their candidates eventually, Nigerians should vote and will vote. And in terms of voting, I want to... are you aware I'm writing another book?
You're telling me.
Okay, there's another book titled Once a Soldier that's going to come out soon, most likely February. But I just want to give you a small excerpt from the short quote that I believe is relevant to what we're talking about. And it says, okay, so I'm quoting from somewhere. After all, let me see. Okay, and with the way political contests were being conducted in Nigeria, I just was not interested in subjecting myself to the non-mathematical rigors, and so did not care about them. After all, not once, not twice, not even thrice have human beings seen a glaring genius in quotes, sell their votes for peanuts and simply pick a jackass to lead a gathering of humans only to cry wolf afterwards. Now this, for me, speaks...
Sorry, Nanepa, don't take lighter.
Okay, so I was taking a quote from my soon-to-be-published book titled Once a Soldier, the story of my life. And I said, and with the political contests, and with the way political contests were being conducted in Nigeria, I just was not interested in subjecting myself to the non-mathematical, note that, non-mathematical rigors, and so did not care about them. After all, not once, not twice, not even thrice, have human beings seen a glaring competent person, a glaring genius, sell their votes for peanuts and simply pick a jackass to lead a gathering of humans only to cry wolf afterwards. Nigeria is a place where adults will say, political mathematics, 2 plus 2, not be 4. 1 plus 1 should be 9, and so on and so forth. Which means that we vote based on all kinds of nonsensical things, sentiments, religion, this and that, and not looking at competence or the person's real ability or capacity to deliver. So what we are today is clearly the consequence of that type of behavior. And we have another opportunity. 2023 is coming. This is the year of primaries. I believe Nigerians, both the ones that are fully partisan, who are carrying cards, and those who are not necessarily carrying cards but are going to be possible voters, to ensure that the voting processes are clear and mathematically enough so that the outcome is a true reflection of what Nigerians want. If we do not do that, whatever the outcome is, again, will have been our outcome by our being docile. So if you are docile, if you don't get interested, if you don't participate, the outcome is the consequence of your docility, and you must live with it.
Those who are docile say that the results are already known. We're just following them. So because of that, they don't want to take part in an election where the winners are known.
Yes. So now, yes. So if
do
you
they have an excuse to complain tomorrow?
If you have that attitude, okay, it will mean that you need to wake up now and tinker with the process such that the process is transparent, so that no one can write a result before the results are out. If you sit down and feel satisfied that someone is able to write a result, if the person did it 4 years ago, you have 4 years to get ready, and the following 4 years are still sitting on the same corner, then who are you and what are you? If you are a parent, you are a failure because you have failed your children. The persons who are playing partisan politics, the persons who are writing this result are not ghosts. They are not ghost writers. They are humans like you. So why should you let another human like you to determine your fate, manipulate your fate, and you sit down there sulking and saying they don't write the result already? Who are they writing the result? Why can't you write the result? So what we're saying here is that nobody should be docile. The larger Nigerian population with less than 20 million people voting is nonsense. How can there be 200 million people? About 100 million or more of that number are adults. And then your fate is determined by 20 million people all the time. And you say that they are writing results. Who are the day that are writing results? Are they coming from Pluto?
So we do ourselves harm by not participating in the political
that's what I'm
process.
saying. We should ensure that INEC is doing what is supposed to be done. Everywhere should do what is supposed to be done.
But when you see the fact that politicians would want to have it dirty so that they can have their way, wouldn't we see bloody elections when people resist those manipulations by this political party, because they would definitely come into physical contact on some of those occasions?
I do not think that politicians will want it dirty. The fact is that the persons that the politicians use want it so, because for them,
and unfortunately they're young people.
For them, it is their season. It's like Christmas season and tailor, or Christmas season and hairdresser. It is their season, so they want to see it as their season. So part of this talk is to make them cease to see it that way. Let them look at the bigger picture, because if you go and submit yourself to thuggery, for example, to be used as a tool, as a thug or whatever, at the end of the day, you are going to have a foul economy. You are going to have an upside-down economy. You are going to have insecurity. You are going to have everything that you didn't quite wish for. But that is what your actions have shown. That's what they call your body language has shown. So you are going to have that type of outcome, unfortunately. So this is a call for all citizens to be active in the political process, one way or the other, to ensure that things are done well.
And I think that should there be an attempt to rig, to smuggle results, to do whatever is untoward, that the people should resist it.
Yes, the people are supposed to prevent any attempt at rigging. There are a lot of ways. You will have the courts, for example, We have social media, telephones, and what do you call them, and cameras and all, and so there are a lot of things. We should not just feel that the only way to prevent rigging is to kill the man who wants to rig. No, there are several ways. So you do what is supposed to be done. Make sure that you keep your record straight. Make sure you report reportables. Make sure you keep everything, and you will have justice. You don't need to go and kill me because someone has rumored that I want to rig. Because if you do that, you may have just what they call it, don't enter with that. You know, you may have just triggered a process that will put you somewhere else.
Well, there are other things that we looked at on that hairline. The writers they had there, the fact that this year there's a likelihood that the price of petrol will go up. The government has also introduced other measures to shore up the economy, and one of such would be the introduction of tax on carbonated drinks. I have one in front of me here. And the fact that we might get to pay more for services this year, that's where the Occupy Nigeria issue came through. But the NLC has also spoken up. They say they would not accept what the president is trying to do through the subsidy removal, and as such, they wouldn't even accept the palliative that the government is offering for them. Are there tougher times ahead? The president already has said that he has given his best to Nigeria. It's more like saying, I've done it all.
Yes, it's the same thing we're saying. The president is president of Nigeria. He's supposed to have been voted in by Nigerians, so it's Nigerians' choice. And he's doing his best based on his capacity. Okay? So, about carbonated drinks being taxed and so on and so forth. They have said that the reason is that carbonated drinks and such beverages with lots of sugar are not too good for our health. So they want to reduce our medical bills by ensuring that they discourage citizens from consuming so much of those poisons, in quotes. And that is where it is coming from. So in a way, it is not everything a government does that is bad. People keep saying everything from a governor, everything from a president as evil. They are citizens too. And if you put them there, you should somehow think through what they say first and foremost, because where they stand, they may be seen a little more, getting a few more reports than you do from your own personal point of view. So I think they should respect some of these things. Whether or not the country, things will be a little tougher, it's obvious the economy is already not so good, I will say, with the dollar jumping up and down like a little monkey. I don't quite see things getting better so soon. But if we are lucky and we deliberately work towards having a better replacement for this government come 2023, and then we deploy all our experts. You know, Nigeria has a lot of experts across the world. You know, so if we deploy all our economists, and so on and so forth, to try to revamp or to fix the battered economy, I think that life will just be better. But for petroleum products, and somehow you've not gone that way, given where I come from, okay, from Ekpetiama Kingdom, from Bayelsa State, where there was an oil spill recently at Nembe, you know, that spewed so much poison into the air and into the waterways, and has poisoned Bayelsa State and poisoned a good part of rivers, and in fact it has got into the ocean and all of that. And what the federal government has conspired to do is to say it is sabotage. And we have not seen the saboteur. I am waiting for the name of the saboteur. Because if you have all the apparatus, if you have all the instruments, all the weapons, you should also tell me who did it. You cannot just say it is sabotage and then you leave it there. So what I'm saying here is that the oil industry is arranged in a manner that makes the Bayelsan person, the Niger Delta person, most uncomfortable. And sometimes they say the chicken comes to roost. When you make someone feel so uncomfortable, even though he ought not to be so uncomfortable, before you know it, that discomfort comes to your home as well. So the Nigerian population may be getting a dose of what we have been getting here for the last 70 years, and maybe that will wake them up as well. That is what I'm thinking. So I thought I should bring this in.
We'll get to that. It's a James Bond Friday, so I'm not thinking that we're discussing. We're still at the papers, but then that's about where we bring the paper discussion to a close. If you just joined us, then you just missed